Joining me today is Gaurav Gupta from Gurugram, Haryana, is a real estate consultant. About your journey into the world of real estate, why real estate?
Real estate starts for me back in the day. I had seen my father make a few investments in real estate. I come from a
Why investment banking? What prompted you to go there?
It was through a friend. It was a fallback option.
Why to become a real estate consultant now?
I was seeing that market is really picking up here. There were good runway of 5 to 7 years, which I was seeing that the city has. So it would give me enough cushion that even if things go bad, I will be moving with the industry.
Why projects get stuck?
This was before pre-RERA. Fund management issue is the only reason, and then there are always political reasons also.
What are all the options available from the funding perspective? How do you think they should manage their funds?
Before you looking to acquire a land, that is a massive cost initially.
Hello and welcome to Reality Club podcast, where we feature aspirational and inspirational stories of realtors across the world. Right? I'm Arun CR, host of Reality.club. Joining me today is Gaurav Gupta from Gurugram, Haryana. Gaurav began his career as a project management executive and evolved into an investment banker, and now is a real estate consultant. Ranging from capital markets to lifestyle to personal finance or sports, Gaurav has been a maverick loaded with knowledge and insight. Happy to have you, Gaurav. All yours.
Glad to be here, Arun. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really looking forward to it.
Fantastic. So, Gaurav, first and foremost, as I said, right, we would like to know as to about your journey into the world of real estate. Why real estate? And after having started from wherever you are, right, from being the project management, investment banker, and then why real estate? End of it. I mean, I'm sure that has enough journey and reasoning to it, right?
Absolutely. So probably real estate starts for me back in the day. I had seen my father make a few investments in real estate. I come from a small town, Ajmer. I always saw probably my friends' parents were doing well, but somehow my father was always into service, couldn't really invest so much of time into real estate, but he'll just pick it up, real estate from advice from those who were doing it part-time. Probably who were selling LIC insurance policies or probably some advice from relatives, just the hearsay, no professional advice as such. And which has resulted in a lot of bad investments from his point. So that was something always fascinated me that, how can something like probably my dad is also making a similar sort of investments and my friends' dads are also doing the same. But how is it going so wrong for him? All these knowledge, all these things came to me a little later. But of course, all these things I realized a little later in life. From there, I had moved to, I did my college from Jai Hind, which is in Mumbai. And from there, I was always fascinated. I happened to be in those friend circles, those whose friends' dads were into real estate development there. They were builders. So for 3 years during my college, I would probably pick their brains around, how the development side of things would work. I started picking my friends' brains, those whose dads were into real estate development in Mumbai, some of the big guys. And that's where I got very fascinated with the idea of real estate. And immediately after college, I went into redevelopment, learning around slum redevelopment. And for a year and a half, I worked with a friend of mine. And that's where I picked the novices. And it happens to be then alongside I was preparing for my CFA, went into my corporate job. I became an investment banker and was supporting Standard & Poor's. But I was supporting APAC clients, and 7 to 4, I would do my corporate job. And after that, I would have the entire evening free to myself. And that's when I got into real estate consulting on the side from there. and it was doing good for me. I did a lot of deals in Mumbai, and for around 3 years I was doing it part time, and that's when I decided to do it full time.
So what point in time you were actually doing that project management? Can we go a bit slow there? I mean,
Right. So that project management bit was the part that where I mentioned that I was doing it with a friend of mine. I was handling around 12 sites in Mumbai, from different Borivali area to Chembur. There were a couple of sites in Bandra, Khar. There was one in Worli. So I was looking at, I was directly, because I had my connection, so I was directly, communicating with the promoters of the company, but handling the 12 sites with me, like talking to contractors and the site's progress, and if they were doing what it was promised to the clients. So that was the part of me that I did for 1.5 years.
lot of questions. I can completely understand a lot of things. So we'll take a step one more time, right? Next is investment banking, right? From say construction, executing project or project management is what you did for in places in Mumbai, the heart of India in terms of real estate. Right? From there, you move to investment banking. Why investment banking? What prompted you to go there? Of course, probably commerce, your degree, or something else.
No, I don't want to sound very smart that I knew what I was doing. It was a fallback option. It was an option B for me. Because it was through a friend, and since like I did not do my graduation also, so there was no other option. If I would be trying somewhere else, I would not get the similar sort of an experience to learn right at the top. But since that didn't happen, my fallback option was to be preparing for CFA. I was smart. That worked out for me that I could clear 3 levels, and that's when I got into investment banking. But it was always something, I was always entrepreneurial mindset that I had. So that's why I told you, like, even when I was in investment banking, after my shift, after my job working hours, I would probably be exploring the ideas that I would, want to be venturing out. So that was my job. My corporate job was always something that just let my kitchen running and let me were able to pay me the bills. Yeah, if I could tell.
So in investment banking, what all you did? I mean, if you just summarize some brands or some deals, we'll get to know what you did there.
Right. So I was looking at residential. So interestingly, at that time also, I was looking at residential mortgage-backed securities of APAC region. So Asia Pacific, Australian clients. I had a lot of Japanese clients. So as you know, these are residential mortgage-backed security. Probably are, just to help you out, is a third party. There are these third parties loan that they transfer. Say HDFC Bank issues loans to customers, and then they bundle around 10,000 or probably more than that loans together. They have a investor profile around it based on the riskiness of it, and then they send it to third party. Third party offers them one-time payment, and then these third party issues bonds against these notes, which would be coming to them probably in the next 20-25 years based on the term. And so I would be looking at these transactions and would be issuing credit ratings based on that. So that was the idea. So I always probably that's what I picked from there, to look things from a macro point of view rather than a micro level point of view. That has always helped me, and probably that is what is helping me when I put content out there also on Twitter. So that is the analytical mindset when I look things from macro level. That's why people probably can resonate with my perspective and with my opinion.
Okay. So now, when was this investment consulting to real estate started?
Was from 2017 till 2022, just before the COVID. So 2016 till 2022, yeah, till almost around 6 odd years.
6 years, yeah. So post that, you why real estate? Why to become a real estate consultant now?
Right.
And what are you doing in real estate right now as a consultant?
Right. So before that, yeah, just to give you an idea also, like I was telling you, so it happened to be the COVID time. I had met my to-be wife then at that point of time, and I was almost about to go full-time into real estate in Mumbai also. But as luck would have it, we were hit by COVID. So I stopped for a few months before resigning. I was already doing a lot of, a lot of work on the side. So I probably thought it would not be that bad to figure out for a few more months. And that's when my wife also got a job in Google, and she was given an option to pick between Haryana or to pick between Gurgaon or Hyderabad. and we're both from Rajasthan, so it happened to be like we chose Gurgaon over Hyderabad, and that's when I decided to go full time probably. And I read a lot about Gurgaon at that time also, and the real estate cycle also. So it wasn't a very hasty decision that I'm probably starting from a new city, from everything from scratch would not be that easy, because I had made my connections in Mumbai. I knew everyone. I knew how things work over there. So that was a challenging aspect of it. But it's just probably because I have failed earlier. Probably that is also something that gave me the confidence. Probably I can restart again my career. It will not be such a bad thing. If you know what you're talking about, people will probably appreciate what you have to offer. So yeah, that's when I started from Gurgaon market, knowing that it was at least at the right time for for which I was seeing that market is really picking up here, and there were good runway of 5 to 7 years, which I was seeing that the city has. So it would give me enough cushion that even if things go bad, like I will be moving with the industry. That was the thought process behind starting in Gurgaon.
Nice. So this is like fantastic, because as a career, I could see that at least I have not come across somebody who has gone on to execute project, which is like to the detail, right? You specifically know the brick and mortar of it, right?
Absolutely. Right.
And spent another huge quantum of your career on macro side of the real estate, where typically once the project, has been financed and subsequently goes to hedging or whatever it is, right? So subsequent aspects. So, okay, a lot of questions say Bombay, and you are exposed to Ajmer, and you're exposed to Gurugram, right? These are three places you've started. Out of this, two is going, Mumbai, NCR, together if we take, it's almost 70% of Indian real estate transaction happens here, right?
Absolutely.
So which means you almost, whatever you have experienced, probably we could, amplify or apply it as a blanket across India as a trend. So my first question is, why projects get stuck? Typically, I think you've been in the project management and also been in the finance as a product finance. Why typically a project gets stuck? Because I see there is 60 times demand for every unit which is there out there as supply, right? So with such huge demand supply gap in real estate, every unit which gets supplied should get sold, right? Which means cash flow is not going to be a problem, right? So where typically in your context, a project is it typically, does not, come into proper handing over time, or do not go past this in your view, please?
See, a lot of things have changed. Definitely what you are referring to, projects getting stuck, this was before pre-RERA, where people would, developers would launch a project, get the cash flows from investors at that point of time, and then buy land elsewhere for their next project. So this used to be a massive challenge, where the cash flows of that particular project would get impacted, because of course there would be transfer somewhere else. This has changed a lot since 2016 RERA has come in, where 70% of the payment has to be used just for that specific projects. So every builders now have to build in 3 escrow accounts, which they have to maintain. And RERA is very particular about looking after these accounts. So that is something that used to happen, which was a major. That's why probably you would not be hearing a lot of projects getting stuck now. Of course, it's not been a lot of that period since 2016. Even RERA has not been blanketly applied. Like in Bombay, probably it's the closest to where RERA guidelines should be. Delhi NCR is close second. I have been to Ahmedabad and other markets. Over there, it's even worse. People talk about, RERA not being fully applicable in NCR. But there are certain cities where are hardly 20% of guidelines of RERA gets followed. But still, we are doing better. So one component was that, builders would get very aggressive and buy land elsewhere of the project. Another factor that I see that is still prevalent right now, probably would get stuck, is where there is this purchase system. Grade B, grade C developers probably most likely gets involved in such transaction, where there are certain big investors or channel partners who would pick 30, 40 units, by giving a few lakh of rupees, and then it would be on them. The onus would be on these guys to sell these units, and they would get a particular timeline to do that. According to me, in a bull market, this works for them because the owners of selling these units move from builder to other these channel partners who can find out buyers. But probably in a bear market or in a slow market, that is where the challenge would come, where builder in their mind would be going ahead with the construction, keeping in mind they have particularly sold these kind of, that kind of inventory, but in reality they haven't, because the cash is not coming. The payments which are supposed to be hitting them in every few milestones would not be hitting them. So that is where there is that risk where projects feasibility could get hampered.
It's typically the fund management. If there is a fund mismanagement, that was the only cause for project delays, right?
Most likely, yes. Most likely, fund management issue is the only reason. Otherwise, we are in a growing, India is in that right place that there's always demand for good quality housing. Demand has not been an issue, not for a very long time. So, and that is possibly the only reason where projects could slow down if they are not rightly placed. Another reason is also selling developers, if they would be looking at, but I don't see that being a reason for projects getting stuck if there are too many investors also. Possibly what kind of gentry also you get in your project also plays a massive role in that. And then there are always political reasons also, if I may tell you. Political reasons why I tell you, there are always, if you're too close to one particular side and if the government changes, if you have done certain things without taking the proper approvals, that come to bite you later. That is one big major reason. That is also something that used to happen. So again, RERA is also rectifying it now. Earlier, you could launch a project and do all of these things, and later you would get to know that probably that particular land is not even with the developer, and then there would be these court cases, that litigation and all these things would happen. But now RERA makes sure, at least in Haryana, you have to outright purchase the land. You cannot be, building something that you really do not have a clear title. So that is also something that now gets mitigated since RERA has come into picture.
Say for new developers, and I'm talking about builders, right? Say
Right.
some builders who are in the category B, C, who are early, their maximum have done a couple of projects at best. They are aspiring to build something at a larger community, right? Or probably they are in tier 2 or in tier 1, somewhere they're handling 1 or 2 projects at best, right? For them, what are all the options available as from the funding perspective? How do you think they should manage their funds? Because not everybody could have probably 40, 50, 60% of the project cost in their bank to kickstart a project, right?
Right.
Not in the bank, right? So for somebody like them who lacks exposure, right? For why I'm asking this is because you have seen the macro side of things, right? Where the money is actually getting cascaded down, right?
Right.
So, how do you think? Say, I'm a fresh developer. I already have finished one project and probably looking to probably have a 10-acre project types, right? Or a 5-acre project. 10 itself is larger. I would say 5-acre project, right? Where about 200, 300 houses are built. If this is the case, then yeah, I'm very much inclined towards proper regulation. I'm aware of RERA, and I'm all of these basic fundamentals I'm aware. But my perspective is, how do you think that I should be able to raise finance, and at what time, at what cost, from whom, right? These are the prominent questions I'm having.
See, funding would be immediately required before you looking to acquire a land. That is a massive cost initially. And there are many private equity deals that happen. If you, like you mentioned, if someone has done 1 to 2 projects and they have delivered or probably have had a good launch, they are in under construction phase, it's a very good place to start. Because every equity player would see at least you should have some background. It would probably be much more difficult if you don't have any background and then you're looking to move into the market. You might not get that many deals. But I do come across, like, I keep reading and keep hearing a lot about, there are these always investors. Partnership is extremely important for these players then, if you don't have the money. So you have to combine your assets with the right kind of players, those who you share a similar vision with. Companies like Godrej, even they have done joint ventures so far in NCR. Only till last 1.5 years back, they have started going on outright basis. Otherwise, almost all the companies would be doing these joint ventures, probably a land collaboration with someone who already owns the land. So you go into collaboration model where you do revenue sharing. Otherwise, you always bring in more private equity players. And in India, family offices are increasing. I keep reading about them. That is another source that probably you could tap in. And you reach out to these people. Probably 4 to 5 family offices can come together and help you with the funding. They are always on lookout on such deals. They don't go into individual investments, but probably this is something that one could really look at. And of course, this is very heterogeneous, depending on to the land situation. So that's why there is no one cut solution to it. But you have to offer them what gets you out of, to sail you through. So probably sometimes you have to be a little less greedy if you are in the starting phase. If you deliver 2-3 such projects, probably you would be at the better end of the curve where you can negotiate a much better deal. But initially, if your vision is to do something bigger, you'll have to leave a little more for these big investors to come in and help you out through the project. But there are many people on the lookout, always looking for such deals.
How these deals are normally, if you could speak in terms of percentage, say 100% is the project cost or whatever it is, what component do you think would go to a landlord? Or if at all it's a joint venture between the landlord and the developer, he's basically offloading the land cost, right? Or if he's going to a family office, then probably they come at a project funding wherein they invest and they take a share of the project, right? So in both cases, the quantum of share of the project is basically given. So how is it determined, or how is this could be done well by early entrants?
Right. See, this is again very subjective, but my assessment, I would tell you from what I read, like Max Estate is doing a deal. They have acquired land from Krishna Group here. So they are sharing around I read from their annual report, around 35% would be the profit sharing with them. And there is a deposit that they have paid them already. So that would be a rough figure, a benchmark probably to give you an idea. Anywhere between 30% to 40% would be a revenue sharing with these people, but it also depends how much funding they are providing. It would be very deal specific. If they are providing 60 to 70% of the funding and you are doing all the management, of course, they'll take a bigger parcel of it. And if it's just 10 to 20% and you have a few investors that you're combining, probably the revenue sharing, which will be much lower, because no one would ever, there is no key party risk. There is not a single person that you are only looking at. So it all depends on deal to deal, but then you have that many heads also to be taken care after. So there's always pros and cons of these dealings, but it's very subjective. 30 to 40%, I would tell you, is probably a benchmark where profit sharing happens if someone who has a land comes with you on that.